something that a lot of players don't understand. I think the fans, it's very hard for the fans to really understand what I'm saying, because most players don't get it. There's a serious calmness about him, which is just extremely deadly, right? Because he's not up, he's not down, he's not contemplating what just happened before or worrying about what's to come next. He's just there. And when a player has the skills and has trained himself to have the skills to be able to shoot, dribble, left, right, etc., and then you mix that with this calmness and poise, then you have a serious, serious problem on your hands. And so when I watch him play, that's what I see.
He is a serious problem for a lot of people. For much more with Kobe and also conversations with LeBron, Curry, and Durant, please tune into NBA Countdown. That's on ABC tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, Christmas Day. Stephen A., what do you make of Kobe's comments on Steph?
Frightening. That's the word that comes to my mind, because we all know what an assassin Kobe Bryant has been throughout his career as one of the prolific scorers the game has ever seen. And so to take it from there and then to see him talk about Steph Curry in this manner, who stands here today in just, his seventh year, 8th year in the league. He stands here as the reigning defending NBA champion and league MVP. And you have one of the top 10 players of all time, one of the most prolific scorers in NBA history, looking into a camera and calmly telling you how much of an assassin this guy is, because he doesn't get high, he doesn't get low. He just goes about his business in a very methodical, matter-of-fact way with no conscience whatsoever. You just can't, it's scary, because that means he's immune to the pressure. It doesn't faze him. And to have all the requisite weapons available in his arsenal, not to mention the poise to go along with it, when one of the greatest players of all time is describing you in that fashion, it makes you sit back and say, okay, who's coming his way? Is it really, really, really going to matter? We keep talking about him against LeBron James and a possible berth in the NBA Finals. My point is that do you not sit back, Skip, and say, Greg Popovich, Kawhi Leonard, do you hear this? Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Doc Rivers, do you hear this? Russell Westbrook, do you hear this? This is what Kobe is talking about when it comes to this kid. And so I just find myself, this year is going to tell us so much about Steph Curry, because, Skip, I'm here to tell you right now, if the Golden State Warriors are led to another championship by Steph Curry this year, I might be willing to go on a record and tell you this brother might win more championships than Michael Jordan, because the game has changed in such a way that it facilitates play for guards. And everybody's coming at him because he's having a career year that follows up a championship in an MVP season. So I am of the belief that no one will ever be more motivated to come after Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors than they are at this point in time. And if they still can't knock him off, with Russell Westbrook in his prime, with Kevin Durant in his prime, with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and those boys supposedly in their prime, with Kawhi Leonard on the come-up, already having a championship on his resume in his prime, with LeBron James, still great, still one of the greatest ever, but obviously age, father time, mileage, he is what he is, and there's really nowhere for him to go but down a little bit. If you can't knock Steph Curry off this year, who in the foreseeable future is going to be able to do it? Popovich ain't going to have Duncan Ginobili and Tony Parker to pair with Kawhi Leonard, even though Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge are great pieces to have.
Yep.
The Clippers, to me, their window to me is closing. And then when I look at Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, well, likelihood they'll be together, they'll stay together, but we all know it's possible they may not be.
May not.
So who's going? Don't tell me James Harden in Houston. I don't want to hear that. So who is it that's going to knock down? That's no disrespect to James Harden, because he's a stud superstar. I'm just talking about the team that is the Houston Rockets. So who is it, if you don't knock off Steph Curry this year, when are you going to do it? I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe it's Ben Simmons, right? Maybe we have to go that far into the future.
Wait. Well, that's down. We got to look for it. But let me tell you something. Ben Simmons, he's number one overall pick. I ain't want to talk about that. That's number one overall pick.
Okay, now
ain't even
back
nothing
to your
talk about
point.
with that.
Right. I don't think it's even gutsy of me to say there's no way Steph is going to win 7 championships before he's finished. And I must defend the great Michael Jordan on one key point. Steph has already lost out to Michael because Michael went 6 for 6 in NBA Finals with 6 MVPs. And I remind you, Andre Iguodala won MVP of the last Finals. And look, back to Kobe. It's just stunning insight, as usual, from Kobe Bryant. We appreciate that very much. I'm with him. It opened my eyes to Steph. Look, Steph has supremely confident calmness, to the point it's arrogant confidence. That's what I see, and I mean that in the most positive way. Steph is arrogantly calm because he knows he is so good that he can do just about anything he wants at any moment. But that's the current Steph. You pointed out, this is his 7th year in the NBA. I remind you, those first 3 games of the finals last year, I didn't see this Steph. He was struggling, dare I say, against Matthew Dellavedova. He was struggling, and I know you joked about it, but Delly was bothering him a little bit. He was just pesky, gnat-like, just irritating Steph. Steph wasn't great in those first 3 games.
Until you opened your mouth about Dellavedova
that's fine.
and what Steph Curry do to him after
still,
that.
Matthew, he ran out of gas. He wound up with IVs in the hospital because he was spending so much energy trying to chase Steph Curry. And for a while, he did okay. My point is, Steph wasn't superhuman in those first 3 games. The second game, he shot 2 for 15 from 3. He wasn't this Steph. And all of a sudden, the reigning MVP is the leading candidate for most improved player in the NBA. That's the truth. It's the truth.
Interesting.
He's way better than he was last year. I don't know exactly why, but it's just the truth because Iguodala won MVP and Steph shot 38.5% for the finals from 3, which is still really good, but it's not great. It's not what he's now 44.8 for the season. It's absurd what he's doing now. And he's taken it up a whole nother level. So I give you that. But when you start talking about 7 championships for a 6'3" kind of willowy guard, I just don't know. That's just hard for me to swallow.
Well, I don't blame you. It's hard. It should be hard for any of us to swallow. But I specifically brought into play the rules changes and how it facilitates guard play. If you have guard play and you're not able to get physical with him because you'll get teed up or you'll get ejected, okay, then that means this brother's going to be able to shoot. And we all know he's the greatest shooter we've ever seen. Yeah. When you combine that with the fact that it's difficult to impede him, and you look at the way the rules are applied, and you're thinking about their youth. They got to re-sign Harrison Barnes.
They do.
But you got Steph locked up. You're going to keep him locked up.
Clay.
You got Klay Thompson, who you made the case maybe is a top 2 shooter in the game. Mm-hmm. Then you got Draymond Green, who is signed.
I'm with you.
I mean, it's there. It's there. Who knows?
Okay. Who knows? I got to sit back and say
this year is going to tell us a lot.
You could be right.
This year is going to tell us a lot about how far Golden State can do. Mm-hmm. They've got nobody that matters over 27 years old.
Yep.
For more from Curry, Kobe, LeBron, Durant, all the guys, please tune into NBA Countdown, 2 p.m. Eastern on ABC. We have interviews with all of them for you. Up next, this is really powerful. Mike Ditka steering